Y/N, shut up. Bully your daughter instead. Look at her, Yeri, look at your upbringing. Rather than teaching her manners, you're backing her up? You're ruining her. Yeri, huh? Now a woman like you is going to teach me how to be a good mother? Why don't you become a mother first, since Taehyung doesn't want a baby with you? Jihoo, obviously, mom. Daddy is a smart man. Why would he want a baby from a WH0 like her? Taehyung, JHU. All the women flinched as Taehyung paced toward them, his expression darkening with every step. Taehyung, in a cold, firm tone, what did you just say? Yeri, stammering, Taehyung. Taehyung, cutting her off, I'm talking to my daughter. He looked directly at Jihoo, his eyes burning with anger. Jihoo. Y/N's eyes widened, shock written all over her face. Was this really a 10-year-old speaking? A child? Taehyung, gritting his teeth, how much poison have you fed her against Y/N? Yeri, quickly, no. She's just saying what she observes. Jihoo's face twisted in anger as she noticed their joined hands. Jihoo, furiously, see, Dad. This WH0 is a Taehyung, shouting, JHU. His hand shot up in anger. Y/N and Yeri gasped in shock as Jihoo quickly ran to hide behind her mother. Yeri gave Taehyung an incredulous look. Taehyung ignored her completely, just like how you all ignore me when I tell you to like and comment. Taehyung, firmly, Mr. Min. Suddenly, from the background, Mr. Min Yoongi stepped forward, his presence unnoticed until now. Taehyung, file the case. I want sole custody of my daughter. Yeri's eyes widened in shock. Mr. Min Yoongi, nodding, yes, President. Yeri, panicking, you gave me full custody of her willingly. Taehyung, coldly, yes, because I didn't know how your upbringing would turn out. He pointed at Jihoo, who didn't even try to cry. Yeri, desperate, you can't do this. Taehyung, calmly, I can and I will. He turned to Y/N, his eyes softening with affection. Y/N, you're okay with this, right? Y/N, smiling, reminding him of their wedding vows, for better, for worse, till death do us part. Yeri, angrily, I'm not okay with this. Taehyung, shrugging, nobody asked. He paused, then added, by the way, your father's company is on the verge of bankruptcy, and looking at Jihoo's behavior, you're not fit to raise her. She needs discipline, and I'll handle that myself. Yeri, furiously, she's my daughter. I refuse to let you take her. Taehyung, unfazed, let the court decide. Yeri, screaming, no. Nobody can take my daughter away from me. Mr. Min, calmly, President Nim, should I propose joint custody? Taehyung, firmly, no. I want sole custody. I don't want this woman anywhere near my daughter. Yeri, shouting, I am her mother. You can't take my daughter away from me. Who do you think you are? Taehyung, coldly, I'm her father, and yes, I will. Yeri, losing control, what father? You're not her real father. Her real father is Jason and, she stopped, realizing her mistake. It was in that moment she knew she had messed up. Yeri glanced at Taehyung, who appeared unnervingly calm. Y/N, on the other hand, was utterly shocked. Taehyung, calmly, thank you, Yeri, for finally admitting it. Yeri, panicking, no, Taehyung. I didn't mean it. Please, listen to me, Taehyung, cutting her off, enough. You've said enough. You've just signed your own fate. Y/N's heart was pounding in her chest, her mind racing to process the bombshell that had just been dropped. She looked at Taehyung, whose expression was unreadable, yet his eyes spoke volumes. Y/N, whispering, disbelief in her voice, Tae, you knew. Taehyung nodded slowly, his gaze never leaving Yeri, who was now visibly trembling. Taehyung, do you remember the day you asked me who Jihoo resembled? I told you she didn't look like anyone in my family, and Yeri quickly said she resembled her aunt? Y/N, nodding.
Yeah.
I remember. Taehyung, and you said she looked more like Mr. Kang's secretary, Jason. That caught me off guard because it was true. 3 months ago, when Jihoo came to visit, I took a sample of her hair for a DNA test. The report came back after a week or two, confirming that she is not my daughter. He paused for a moment before adding with a bitter smile. Taehyung, P.S., when it comes to the paternity test of 10-year-old Kim Jihoo. Mr. Kim Taehyung, you are not the father. Y/N's lips parted in shock, but no words came out. She was too stunned to speak. Taehyung, calm but deadly, Mr. Min? The will. Mr. Min swiftly stepped forward, presenting a file. Taehyung took out a single page, his eyes cold and unwavering. Without hesitation, he threw it in Yeri's face, the paper fluttering down as she stared in disbelief. Taehyung, voice sharp, cutting through the tension, this is a copy of my new will. It clearly states that 70% of my assets will belong to my wife, Kim Y/N, and the children I will have with her. The remaining 30% will be donated to charities. Yeri's face drained of color as she scrambled to catch the paper. Taehyung, with finality, in short, I've removed Jihoo's name from my will. Completely. The room was silent, tension thick in the air as Y/N remained frozen in shock, and Yeri's hands trembled as she clutched the damning paper. Yeri, pleading, Taehyung, no. You can't do this. Jihoo is your daughter, she needs you. Please, don't punish her for my mistakes. She's innocent. Please. She dropped to her knees, clutching the paper as if it were her lifeline, tears streaming down her face. Y/N watched in stunned silence, while Taehyung remained unmoved, his expression hardened. Yeri, sobbing, I made mistakes, but Jihoo doesn't deserve this. Taehyung, please reconsider. I'll do anything. I'll leave, I won't bother you again, just please, don't take away her future. Taehyung's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice cold and firm. Taehyung, her future isn't being taken away, Yeri. It's being redirected. I gave you chances, and you failed. Jihoo deserves a proper upbringing, one that isn't poisoned by lies and manipulation. She's still young, she has time to change, but not under your influence. Yeri crawled closer, her hands reaching for Taehyung's leg, desperation dripping from every word. Yeri, begging, please, please don't do this. I know I've been wrong, but I can change. I can be better. For Jihoo's sake, Taehyung, give me one more chance. I swear I'll fix everything. Yeri's sobs grew louder as she clung to his leg, her pride crumbling into nothing. Y/N watched, torn between sympathy for the broken woman in front of her and pride in Taehyung's resolve. Yeri, desperately, I'll do anything, Taehyung, just don't take her away from me, please. Taehyung's voice cut through the chaos with a firm edge. Taehyung, coldly, Yeri, if you don't leave now, I will call security. I won't tolerate any more of this behavior. Jihoo is not my daughter, so I have no reason to keep her. You can take her with you. Yeri glared at him, her face a mask of fury and disbelief. She didn't say anything, but her eyes were filled with defiance as she hugged Jihoo tighter. Jihoo looked up at her mother, her anger only escalating. She pointed a trembling finger at Y/N, her voice laced with venom. Taehyung's expression hardened as he watched the scene unfold. His patience was wearing thin, and he took a step toward Yeri. Taehyung, commandingly, get your things and leave. You and Jihoo are no longer welcome here. I won't tolerate any more of this hostility. Jihoo turned to Y/N, her eyes blazing with anger. Jihoo, bitterly, you're just a whore who took my dad from us. I wish you'd never come into our lives. You're ruining everything. Taehyung's eyes narrowed, his frustration clear as he watched Jihoo's outburst. He clenched his fists, trying to maintain his composure. Taehyung, calm but firm, enough, Jihoo. You will leave with your mother. This behavior is unacceptable. If you can't behave respectfully, then I suggest you and Yeri leave now. Jihoo's eyes were still fixed on Y/N, her hatred unabated. As they walked out, her venomous words echoed in the hall. Jihu, shouting, "You're going to pay for this. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." The door slammed behind them, leaving the room in stunned silence. Taehyung turned to Y/N, his expression a mix of regret and concern. "Taehyung," softly, "I'm sorry you had to see that. Are you all right?" Y/N nodded slowly, still in shock from the confrontation. Taehyung reached out to hold her hand, trying to offer comfort as they both tried to process the emotional whirlwind that had just occurred. Y/N slowly wrapped her arms around Taehyung, finding solace in his embrace. Taehyung hugged her back tightly, his arms offering a sense of protection and comfort after the emotional storm they had just weathered. The staff, who had been silent witnesses to the scene, avoided making eye contact. They looked down, their expressions a mix of sympathy and discomfort, as they gave the couple space to find their moment of vulnerability away from prying eyes. Taehyung gently stroked Y/N's back, his voice barely a whisper as he spoke. "Taehyung," softly, "I never wanted you to see this side of things. I'm so sorry for all the pain and anger you've had to endure." Y/N tightened her hold on him, taking comfort in the warmth and strength he provided. She nodded, her voice choked with emotion. Y/N, "It's okay, Taehyung. We'll get through this together." As they held each other, the intensity of the situation began to settle, leaving them both to find solace in each other's arms. The staff, still respectfully out of sight, continued their duties quietly, allowing the couple their moment of shared strength and intimacy.